Hello, boils and ghouls. You are now tuned in to PVD Horror Podcast. Pleasant screams.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the PVD Horror Podcast. My name is Dave, and today I am joined here with director Darren Bousman, who is such a huge presence in the horror community, especially to someone like myself, from his previous works in the Saw franchise with Saw 2 through 4, Spiral, Repo the Genetic Opera, Abattoir. Just the list goes on and on about all the films that you've contributed to our community. Darren, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So today, specifically, we are here to discuss your latest film, which will be available to buy or rent on digital on February 6th, and that is called Twisted. So Darren, as you approach, kind of the release of this film, what are your feelings about this film, and, what are you hoping people will anticipate from your latest installment?
It's a hard question because you never know what anyone's going to think. What I'm excited about the movie is that I think that I've been very lucky in my career to do different things, whether that is, be involved with the Saw franchise or go make weird cult musicals. This is kind of another step in the journey. It's a little bit off center because it's not as, I guess, vicious or violent as some of my other films. It's more of a thriller. It's much more of a two-hander than I've done before, led by just phenomenal actors, Djimon, Hounsou, and LaVera, who, I'm excited for people to see together. For me, it's a fun film because it kind of flips genres throughout the movie. It starts as like a quirky heist film and then becomes something inherently darker as the film goes along. And it was a cool thing to shoot because the movie kind of plays in a multitude of genres, not just horror.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see that. I hadn't really thought of it as, in that way when I first approached it and was watching it, because I think there can be similarities to previous types of horror that you've worked on, but you're right, it does touch on a number of different things, and I'm sure that was probably fun to tap into different sides of yourself and not always have to be in that one, getting into the torture horror all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for me, listen, there's that douchey artist part of me that always wants to do things that most people will never know that I did, meaning that, I get really, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I'll think of the word in a minute, but like basically I do things for me a lot, like because I watch a lot of movies and I there are things that I want to try or experiment with. And so like in this movie, it's this really anal douchey thing that I like to do, which is like each act is shot with a completely different color palette, different lenses, and different aspect ratios. So if you rewatch the movie, you'll see the aspect ratio changes on screen.
Wow.
As things happen. So it starts off in your full screen, and then by the very end, it's almost 4:3. And it's slowly happening as the movie's going on. And the same thing with the colors, where we start off with a very normal lens, and by the very end, we're using a lens that warps everything in the middle. And we're using these over-the-top Storaro color gels that it almost becomes hypercolor at the very end. That is absolutely unrealistic. And it happens so gradually that unless you're paying attention, you don't notice it. And I love that because it is, it's how I felt reading the script, that I thought I was reading in one movie, and by the very end, I was like, wait, what the fuck just happened? It's a completely different thing. So we were able to do that filming. And I love when you can do little things like that, if you're paying attention, you start seeing these things happen or transpire.
Yeah. Sure. I wonder if the word that you were looking for was self-gratifying. It's kind of like you have like this little inside joke that you planted into your film that most people won't notice, but you'll know it's there every time you watch it. I love that.
Exactly. It's 100% what I did.
I don't think that's douchey. I think that's a little bit of a flex on your end. Like you're kind of showing off some skills to be able to do that and to not have it be so contrasting that it's noticed, I think is actually a talent for you to be able to pinpoint like this will work here, and it's not going to be so off-putting that people are going to say, hey, what just happened there?
Yeah, I mean it's hard filming because you have whether it's an executive that shows up or a financier, and they go look at the monitor, and let's say they're looking, or even an actor, they're looking at the close-up and they see they're out of focus for 60% of the image. And they're like, why am I out of focus in this shot, but I'm not out of focus in that shot? And we're like, well, that goes in act one. This is going to go in act three. And why did you light me with pink light? Why am I pink? And I'm like, don't worry about it. It's going to work.
Don't worry.
I started as an editor. So I think a lot of times when I approach a movie, I'm thinking of it primarily from the editorial standpoint. Like, how will this cut together? How will this look cut together?
That's fantastic. And, honestly, though, that's you utilizing skills that you have in another capacity and bringing it to this directorial role, which I think is impressive, but also important to the film.
Thanks. Yeah, it's I think for me, I want to continue. This is my 18th movie, and it's easy to fall into a rhythm and do the same thing again and again, and that's very easy. I want to constantly try to do new things. Like I think 70% of my career people don't know about because either the movies don't come out or they are coming out. Like I just did a movie in Arabic, all in Arabic. I did a movie completely in Japanese. I did a Japanese TV series, 6 episodes, all in Japanese.
Wow.
I love challenging myself and doing things that constantly remind me that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing and I have to relearn. So when you go to Tokyo and you're working with an all Japanese crew, and you go to literally the deserts of Saudi Arabia, and you're like, you ain't in Kansas anymore. Like, this is different. And I'm learning different styles of filmmaking doing that. So I try to keep it interesting for myself so I don't ever just become lazy.
Yeah. And I think that's super important to just continue to challenge yourself. Like you had initially referred to it as kind of like douchey, but I don't think it is. If you look at it from the bigger picture, art is supposed to be a reflection of the people who make it. And this is just a reflection of you, and part of you wants to continue to challenge yourself. So, I mean, I hope that we continue to see that with film 18, 19, and 20 at some point.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Just for our listeners, can you give a brief synopsis of Twisted so they kind of have an idea what we're talking about?
Yeah, Twisted is at first glance, it's a con movie gone wrong. It is 2 characters, Smith and Paloma, who are young millennials that are conning people in a way that they believe does not hurt anyone. They are, and it's based on a real Airbnb scam where they will rent an Airbnb, and when the owner gives them possession, they try to sell it from under the owner or to resublet it. And by the time the owner comes back, the money's been transferred and they're gone. They pick someone they think will be an easy target, a doctor played by Djimon Hounsou, and the scam catches up with them. And one of the 2 of them, Paloma, ends up hurt, bleeding out, and Kezian shows up and saves her. But he now feels that he has saved her. She would have died. He is now controls her life and takes her. She would have definitely died on his floor. And so now he is going to use her for a medical experimentation in hopes of bettering humanity. And what I think makes the movie interesting and why I was initially attracted to it was the movie was called Monster originally. And in some respects, it's a better name because the movie is about both characters are not good or bad. They're these shades of gray. They both take turns being the monster. And I think one of the things when I first gave it to Mark Berg, who produced the Saw movies, to come in on this, he was like, I don't like Paloma. She's not a likable character. She's doing evil things. And I was like, that's exactly right. And that's why I want to make it, is that she's not the traditional antagonist or protagonist. She is both. And so is Kezian. Kezian, played by Djimon, is not good or bad. He's both. And in the initial script, when it was called Monster, both of them took turns being the monster. And I think that is still there now, where, one scene, Kezian is the one that you're relating to, and the next scene, it's Paloma, who you're relating to. And I think that makes the movie interesting, is that they were kind of ping-ponging back and forth between the good guy and the bad guy. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like you personally gravitate to films with these like themes of people who do wrong or maybe have made mistakes that are large mistakes kind of being tested, or like the themes of like who ultimately has the right to judge others, like because that's present in here, but it's also very present in obviously like the Saw films.
Yeah,
Do you gravitate towards that?
yeah. I mean, I think that you know, I hate getting political about anything, but if you turn on the news now, depending on what network you turn on to, who is the villain and who is the hero is completely skewed by who's telling the story. You know, you have someone killed in the streets, and in one channel that person is an antagonist and a villain, and on the other channel is a hero and a martyr. And I think that so much of who we are is dictated by when that person is viewed and how they're viewed. So if you see me at a particular hour of the day, I'm a villain. If you look at me at another hour, I'm the hero. And I think those to me are the most interesting stories. Whether that is a movie like Mother's Day, where you know, these people break into a home and hold everyone hostage, but if you look at them in the right view, it's a dysfunctional family that's trying to make it themselves. But if you look at it in the other view, they're kidnappers and torturers.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, and the same thing with Saw. If you look at Saw through the lens of John Kramer, he is the hero.
Yeah.
But if you look at it through the lens of the person in the trap, they are the villain. He is the villain. So to me, I think that those are the movies that I am most drawn to, that it's not clearly light and dark, good or bad. It's shades of gray.
You know, and those I love the way you just explained that. And you know, because I definitely gravitate towards those types of films as well. I think those themes are very interesting to explore. And in this one, you know, obviously it's no different. We're very much seeing that, especially in the character of Djimon. And like it kind of begs that question, like, does the ends always justify the means? Because like his intention, you can go into something with the best of intentions, but if you harm a lot of people along the way, it's really hard to justify some actions, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of my favorite movies, I think, are movies where you watch a character making a series of wrong choices, but they're not necessarily villains. So you look at Fargo or A Simple Plan, where a situation is there and you're watching a character make the wrong choice after the wrong choice, and it leads to this horrible conflict and eventually climax where all those choices come back to haunt them.
Yeah.
And I think with Djimon and Paloma as well, it is a series of missteps that lead to this horrible outcome for everyone. And those are the movies that I think are very interesting, because our life is full of those choices every day. We wake up and make those choices. I also, again, going back to what's happening in the world right now, it's like the way that things are done or handled might be for a greater good. They might say that we are going to purge these nefarious people, and that's going to make where we live a safer place. But the way in which things are being done is causing turmoil. It's causing agony to people. It's doing all these horrible things. So then you have to ask yourself, does what you're trying to do justify the way you're doing it and how it's happening? And I think that looking at things through that lens, to me, is just something that is where I am in my life right now. It's just something I think about a lot.
Have you ever thought about the type of films that you do in relation to what's going on in the world, and almost as a like benchmarkers in history? Like, I think right now what you're talking about super parallels all the themes that we're seeing in society today, right? But also when the Saw films came out originally, I think there was some parallels to things people were feeling, frustrations, anger, all that. Have you ever like kind of thought about that and how things kind of come back around?
You have to. And I think that having a kid and having kids has really changed who I am as a person and as an artist, because you realize that no kid is ever born racist. They're made racist. No kid's ever born violent. They become violent. They are an amalgamation of moments in their lives that you teach them, and they are taught, and they view, and they see. And I am no different than that, meaning that where I am today as a 46-year-old person is not where I am when I was 20. When I was 20, or 25 making Saw 2, I had experienced 25 years of moments, and that was the story in which I was telling. In that case, I mean, Saw 2 is a perfect example. Both of my parents had cancer. Both of them were diagnosed with cancer the same year. And here I am doing a movie about a man that has cancer. So my own rage and anger and resentment and all of these things came out in the way that I made the movie and how I directed. And now at 46, I look at the world and at all of these moments that have happened, and I ask myself a lot of the same questions that both characters are asking. Part of me sympathizes with Paloma. I'm like, why does this guy get to have this lavish lifestyle and this expensive house and all of this? Like, I deserve what he has. And the other side of me goes with Kezian in a way that if I might do this one terrible thing, but I could save all of these other people.
Right.
I mean, am I really a villain? And so I think that every movie that I've made has been me wrestling with my own bullshit. If I make a movie like Devil's Carnival or even bad movies like 11/11, I'm dealing with my own thoughts on faith and belief. And so I think you have to take part of yourself in what you make, or it's just a widget. I'm just making a widget. So part of me is in every movie that I've ever made.
Fantastic. I love that response. I love the way that you're making me think about these films too. And you're absolutely right. Like I love the dynamics with these characters. You do find yourself at times connecting with each of them in different ways and things like that. When you were doing the Saw films, I just have to go back to that for a second. Going through your own stuff, was that cathartic for you to create those films in a way?
Saw 2 and 3 was for sure. Saw 4, I was the reason I left the Saw franchise was like I was so desensitized. It's like riding the best roller coaster first when you go to an amusement park. If you ride the best roller coaster first, everything fails in comparison. So as a filmmaker, I am 24 years old when I was hired, 25 when I made the movie. And then my movie comes out in 3,000 screens. It's on bus stop ads. It's on trailers everywhere. And I think that's what movie making is. And it was easy because I had a franchise and, they would throw money at a problem. If it didn't work, let's just put more money on it. And by the time Saw 4 happened, it stopped challenging me the way that I think I had to be able to do things.
Sure.
That doesn't mean my movies have gotten better. Some have gotten worse, but it is at least for me, every movie that I've made, every movie that I've done is I am inside of it and my voice is there. Even the worst films I've done, like I always talk about this movie as a cautionary tale. I made a movie called 11/11 and I wrote it and it's not a great film at all. But when you listen to the dialogue of what's being said, I am every character and it's me having an internal battle with myself about religion and faith and purpose and all of this shit. So it's therapy for me. Every one of these movies is therapy that I get to deal with my own bullshit and what I believe through the characters. In some case, I'm one character. In other cases, I'm every character in it. And I've been lucky that I've been able to continue to do that and probably save on massive therapy bills.
As a therapist myself, I will tell everyone, don't worry about the bills. If you need the help, get the help. But
Exactly.
So overall, just for listeners, I know I got to wrap up with you because you are a busy man. For people that you are trying to tell that if Twisted will be for them, how are you pitching this movie to them? What should they know to get themselves prepared for what they're about to experience?
Listen, I mean, the reality is this: we're in an oversaturated market where there is no shortage of content. You open up Netflix or iTunes, and there's a million movies to choose from. I think that this movie to me is more than being a horror film. It's more than being a dude who's committing body horror on people. It's tackling a lot of topics, but I also think it's fun. And I think that it's great performances. Djimon Hounsou, there's a reason the guy's nominated for multiple awards.
Yeah.
There's a reason that LaVera is now being referred to as like the ultimate final girl scream queen. She's awesome.
Yeah.
I think the movie is fun, but it also hopefully will make you think and divide people on who the hero is and who the villain is in the movie. And I like that.
Yeah. I always say my favorite thing is when you walk away from a film still thinking about it and not having all the answers, right? Like still having some questions, trying to figure things out. And I think that people will get that experience from this film. So for everybody, make sure you look out for Twisted on February 6th to buy or rent on digital. Darren, I have to just tell you, I'm going to fanboy for a second. I'm such a huge Saw franchise person. And for me, it's all about comfort. It's comfort films. There's this recipe that I just jive with. I've always enjoyed those films. for all the same themes we're talking about with Twisted. And, it's not, to me, just a torture film. There's this balance of justice. There's these questions of who should be the ones judging who, others. And I love the mystery behind like the way everything always plays out. I just thank you for your role in making that franchise what it is.
Thank you very much.
Your installments 2 through 4 are some of my favorites. So thank you so much. And Spiral was excellent. Just have to say that.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think that they are very similar in style, that Tobin and John Kramer was never the villain or the hero. He was somewhere in between. And I think that, to me, that's what made those films work is that in his mind, he is the hero of his story. Yeah. And you understood as an audience member why he did what he did. At least most people did. Like there is, and again, me making those films with the 2 parents that had cancer at the time, like I would find myself getting mad and enraged and seeing it. So I think that those are my favorite types of movies, where you can find a piece of yourself in the characters.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, it sounds very much like Twisted is this, again, for you, another piece of yourself. So again, I'm just going to encourage everybody, make sure you check this out February 6th. And Darren, once again, just thank you for taking this time with me. And I wish you the best of luck with all the other press you got to do for this film, because I know how these press days go. So thank you
so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a great day. Check out Twisted. See you later.
Game over.